Hello everyone, my name is Elite Trainer Kenway and I am here a week early to put the exclamation point on our fairy timeline. For those of you who are not caught up in our series, 3,000 years ago when AZ fired the ultimate weapon during the Great Kalos War, an Amorous came down from the heavens and to punish not only AZ but the entire world, which would push him to that breaking point, then wipe the world of all fairy type Pokemon. So essentially, the first 5 generations of Pokemon games, from Red and Blue all the way to Black and White 2, exist in the non-fairy timeline, which is a timeline in which AZ fired the ultimate weapon and all of mankind was punished as a result. The flip side to this is that all Pokemon games from Generation 6 all the way through to Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus in Generation 8 exist in the fairy timeline, which is the timeline in which AZ did not fire the ultimate weapon. That video was posted 3 weeks ago. And then last week we posted a video as requested by Birdkeeper Toby explaining why Professor Oak did not know about the Dark type and Steel type Pokemon in the first generation games. And we explained where Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee fit in the fairy timeline. So today we're going to take one more look at the fairy timeline and discuss where Mega Evolution fits in. So with that quick recap out of the way, it's time for my 2 favorite words. Roll intro. So let's talk about Mega Evolution. I looked at this from several different angles. First, I looked at the Great Kalos War and broke down the picture that we see in X and Y of the Great Kalos War and tried to write down all the Pokemon that we see in that picture, Pokemon that we know took place in the war. And I tried to determine which other region alongside Kalos had a major part in the Kalos War. But it seems pretty evenly spread out. We had Pokemon from Kanto, we had Pokemon from Johto, we had Pokemon from Hoenn, we had Pokemon from Sinnoh, and we even had Pokemon from Unova in the Great Kalos War. So it seems as though maybe the Great Kalos War might have been a civil war. So then I decided to look into Pokemon X and Y to try to find out what lore about Mega Evolution exists in those 2 games, and I didn't find much. We get a little bit of information from Karina and her grandfather, and we get a little bit of information from Professor Sycamore suggesting that Mega Evolution deals with strong bonds between trainers and their Pokemon. But we know that's not the case because both Rayquaza and Lucario have Mega Evolved without having a trainer in the past. So that didn't really go anywhere. So I decided to look at the Draconid people from Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And looking at the Draconid people from 2,000 years ago and their experience with Mega Rayquaza, it does make sense that they would have created the Mega Stones and the Keystone. But that still leaves another question, which is, how did they know to create the Mega Stones and the Keystones? So when I was deep diving into Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I came across the Looker, which fans have speculated for a long time, maybe a time traveler, maybe based off of David Tennant's Doctor Who. Hello everyone, this is Future Kevin and Posted reminding you, if you are a Doctor Who fan, do not correct me on calling him Doctor Who. In the original series, he was credited as Doctor Who. His name is not the Doctor, his name is Doctor Who. Deal with it. Also, this is one of my 2 children who keep me from posting videos every single week. And also maybe based off of Zenigata and Lupin III. Seeing which games Looker pops up in helps us to understand exactly who Looker is, exactly what he's trying to do, and confirms that he was in fact based off of Doctor Who. As a matter of fact, the idea of Doctor Who may have even come from the fact that Looker may have come to our universe at some point. So what do we know about Looker? We know 3 things to be canonically true. We know that Looker appears in Pokemon Black and White, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, X and Y, and Sun and Moon. We also know that Looker's appearance never changes at any point that we meet him in the timeline. And we know that Looker is capable of interdimensional travel, as seen in Sun and Moon. So, doing a bunch of research, trying to tie together all of Looker's activities within the Pokemon universe, I think that we have come up with a definitive timeline that explains all of Looker's activities, in what order they take place in, and more importantly, how it ties to Mega Evolution and the fairy timeline. So let's start at the beginning. We know that about 10 years before the events of Sun and Moon take place, Looker was already in Alola studying the Ultra Beasts with Nanu and another unnamed faller. So what is a faller? A faller is someone who is capable of going through the Ultra Wormholes to travel to a different universe. The most recent example of a faller is the player character from Pokemon Legends Arceus. And it is widely speculated by Pokemon fans that not every person in the Pokemon universe can be a faller. So shortly after Looker and Nanu's assistant passes away during one of their expeditions, they coincidentally find Annabelle washed up on the shores of Alola. We know for a fact that this Annabelle is a faller, and we know for a fact that she came from the non-fairy timeline. So that raises two questions. Why is she here, and where is the Annabelle from the fairy timeline? I believe that the unnamed faller that was lost by Looker and Nanu was none other than Annabelle herself from the fairy timeline. And when they lost Annabelle, Looker made his first run through the Ultra Wormhole, trying to find another universe in which Annabelle is still alive. Ripping another child from her home universe and pulling her into these interdimensional investigations didn't sit quite well with Nanu, who then decided he would no longer take part in these investigations. A few years later, not wanting to put Annabelle at risk again, Looker himself went through the Ultra Wormhole back 2,000 years to warn the Draconid people of the Great Delta Meteor. After helping them summon Rayquaza, Looker then used the Audinite that he got in what was likely a parallel universe to show the ancient Draconid people what Mega Evolution is and what it can do for Pokemon. He then taught them how to create Keystones and Megastones using the broken up shards from the meteor, which at this point was affected by Rayquaza's Mega Energy. Looker then steps back through the Ultra Wormhole, where he is washed up on the beach and is recovered by Brendan. Is his name Brendan? Is it? I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm not gonna re-record this though. If it's not Brendan, if it's not Brendan, we'll fix it and post edit. Years later, after Years later, after Team Rainbow Rocket take over the Aether Foundation, Looker begins his next quest, which was to search the entire Pokemon multiverse in order to find that one universe in which Giovanni rises to power. This is why we see Looker in not one but two separate instances in the Kanto region. We see Looker pop up in Kanto in Pokemon Generations, which we know is set in a completely different universe from the games, and he is studying, guess who? Team Rocket and Giovanni. We also see him in Pokemon Red and Blue, where he is on the SS Anne and tells Red that he is investigating Team Rocket. Now we know that almost right after Red gets off of the SS Anne, he takes the badge from Lieutenant Surge and then he goes straight after Team Rocket. So why does he not run into Looker, and why was Looker on the SS Anne rather than being in any of the towns in which Team Rocket actually had a presence? Because he wasn't looking for Giovanni, he wasn't looking for Team Rocket, he was looking for Red. He was on that ship looking for Red to see if he was in the right universe. Once he runs into Red and realizes that Red is going to stop Team Rocket in this universe, he simply steps back through the Ultra Wormhole back to his universe and tries a different universe. So that is it for this week's video. Basically, Looker took a Megastone from a different universe, brought it back in time to the Draconid people, and showed them how to create and utilize the Megastones. Next week, we're going to be moving away from the fairy timeline. I think the baby's awake. Yeah. Next week, we're going to be moving away from the fairy timeline for a little bit. I have about 20 other theories here that I want to do some research into, and to be honest, I think we've answered every question that anyone may have about the fairy timelines. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'm going to link the first two videos in this trilogy in the description. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will be here to talk to you next Sunday. Peace.